In May 2011, my mom, my dad, my aunt, and myself went on a trip to Norway. It was the first time for my mom and my dad to be in Norway. It was the first time in 40 years for my aunt to be in Norway, and it was the second time in 2 years for me to go back. I had previously been in Norway on a show For Norge where I was cast and I was able to go and experience some amazing cultural experiences in Norway, and being a winner I was able to meet some of my family. However, I was only able to meet one side of my family, and I knew that I had other families still living in Norway, so it was a big opportunity for me to go back, and I knew that I wanted to take this opportunity to meet the other side of my family. So, my mom, my dad, my aunt, and myself planned a trip where we were going to go visit all of my great-grandparents' homesteads, all of their grandparents' homesteads. And it was an amazing, amazing experience.
I was scared to begin with to go over there to meet family and to see Norway.
The first day we landed in Oslo and did a lot of sightseeing. I had been in Oslo a couple times before, but I had not been able to be a tourist, so my favorite part of going back to Oslo was being able to do the touristy things. We went to City Hall and walked around and saw where the Nobel Peace Prize and Nobel Prizes are given out. We went on a mini tour of the Oslo Fjord. We also made a trip up to Holmenkollen ski area.
We went to the National Gallery and looked at their art exhibit, and it was bleak, depressing, dark, morose, and that's a stark contrast to what we saw as far as the people were in Norway. They were open and friendly and warm.
I thought the architecture was very pretty in the older places.
The highlight from Oslo was the opera house and how amazingly put together it was. And of course, those bunads.
The next day was the 17th of May. My mom, my dad, and my aunts and we all walked to about the same location that I had seen the parade before 2 years when I had been there shooting For Norge. And it was really, really cool. Again, seeing the king and the queen and the royal family so close, watching all of the bunads and the parade of children.
Oh, it was a beautiful day. The lilacs were in bloom and they smelled so wonderful.
It's a special celebration, unlike anything that we seem to have here in this country.
Looking at the bunads for the 17th of May, that was so beautiful. Just seeing all of those costumes and all of the work that's gone into the costumes.
I was really impressed by all the little kids, how excited they were. I was also really surprised at how close you could get to the palace and the king and queen. It was amazing. I loved it.
The following day we traveled up to Lillehammer. My favorite part of going back to Lillehammer may have been just having my parents be able to experience it, and my aunt. Like I said, I had been there before, so for me it was, a second time around, but I thought it was really fun to have them be able to see the things I had seen before. We ended up going up to the ski jump that is there from the Lillehammer Olympics, and while we were there we saw people practicing.
Lillehammer's a cute little town. I actually enjoyed going up to the ski lift and watching the guys practice skiing on a dry jump.
What I remember about Lillehammer is the hills. And I made it.
In Lillehammer, going to the ski jump was fantastic. Being able to see people come down a no snow ski jump and jump.
The Sorley farm is on my grandfather's side of the family. It's his father. And we were able to meet up with a relative there, and he was able to take us around to the local church as well as the local farm, and we were able to see it firsthand. I have to say it was really exciting and emotional for me to be at yet another one of my great-grandparents' homesteads. It was very remote, very beautiful, and it's really kind of overwhelming to see the sense of history and where you came from and stand on that ground. I feel like I was drawn to be on this place and feel the energy, and it was an amazing experience. I'm really, really glad we were able to see that farm.
Seeing the Sorley farm was emotional.
I was really impressed with Jan Bakken at the Sorley, that he stayed with us all day. And I was really shocked that there's no one left of the Sorleys in Norway. It's a beautiful country with nice people, and it's where our ancestors came from.
The next day after Lillehammer was a travel day, and we drove back in to Oslo and we flew out to Stavanger. They picked us up from the airport and we did a quick driving tour of the city. Didn't have much time before we went out to a birthday party. I can honestly say that was the perfect arrival into Stavanger area, being welcomed so wholeheartedly and so open-armed as this family. It was as if we'd known them for 100 years. It was just relaxing and fun, and we told stories and we talked about family history and we enjoyed some akavit. And we had an amazing, amazing food, amazing company, and it was, like I said, just the best way to start that leg of the trip.
Our relatives are really quite nice people.
I love our relatives.
We actually went a little bit of sightseeing around Stavanger and Sadness. We first drove down to Lomeland, very close to the farm, and we went to the church where some of my relatives are buried. Going back to the Lomeland farm was really overwhelming for me. It inspired a very emotional response from my mom, which was amazing and beautiful to see. My aunt was very excited to be there. And it's just something special to have such an emotional connection to something and be able to share that with your family, not only extended family, but your close family. So I was really, really proud, if you will, to be able to show that area and that experience with my mom and my dad.
Yeah, the Lomeland farm and where the buildings used to stand was emotional.
We stayed on the farm for a while. We had an amazing, very traditional lunch of open-faced sandwiches and cheesecake and amazing, amazing foods. But then we were soon whisked away to another family member's house where we had more amazing food, little homemade pizza rolls and some cake and some coffee, and we got to taste some. They had just caught some crab that day and they had boiled it up and we just ate it right off of the boat. It was amazing. We ended up going by these houses that were built under a cliff. They were built there hundreds of years ago, and they still have some remnants, and we were able to walk into them, and it was really cool to see the fjords and these houses. I do have to say, those roads are teeny and those roads are windy. The following day we got up and hopped in the bus again, and we had a whole bunch of family surrounding us, and we did a fjord tour. I was personally surprised at how small and teeny and far away Preikestolen is from the water. I knew I was absolutely freaked out before when I had been there, but I had no idea that it was that high from below.
To see how high things were was just amazing to me.
Further up the fjord, we were able to see, there's a little rock that's stuck between two crevices, and we were able to see that again from the fjord, but it's like 1,000 meters in the air, and it's just a little teeny tiny nothing, so it was really, again, cool to see from how far down it was on the fjord. We had a little snowball incident in the van where someone threw a snowball at us and we caught it, and it was a lot of fun, but it was very cold, very snowy, but again, really, really beautiful.
And to see all the things that we saw in such a short period of time was just amazing to me.
We were then ready to travel to Bergen, which was our final stop before we headed back to Oslo and back home. Bergen is beautiful. And we did a quick walking tour around Bergen, just the downtown area. It was pretty bad weather and it was pretty low cloud, so we decided not to go up to any of the mountains that surround Bergen, but we did get a good view and a good feel for the city.
When we were in Bergen, it rained a lot and it was cloudy and overcast. It kind of made me feel like I was at home.
We unfortunately had some gray, rainy weather similar to what we get here. It'd be absolutely spectacular to see it in the sunshine.
The first full day in Bergen was a day that we went out and saw, again, my other great-grandparents from my grandmother's side. We got to see the Sally farm.
Well, 40 years ago, there weren't that many houses on the islands, and there weren't that many bridges, and you had to take ferries or rowboats. I rowboated over the North Sea in a little teeny rowboat to see a great-great-aunt that was living on a little teeny island named Lossoy. And there's still no bridge to that island. It was really nice seeing Kjellog again and going out to the farms, the Sally farm, and meeting Bjarni, Grandpa's youngest brother. It made me cry because he looked so much like Grandpa to me from his nose up, and he was very sweet.
Unfortunately, my mom got sick, and she stayed at home the day we traveled out to the Sally Island and the Sally farm, so she wasn't able to see there.
We had some cousins come and visit with us the next day. My sister and I, Margie, stayed at Reinhold's and Christian's, and they came to visit and let us see some of the work that the grandparents had done, and Margie got some doilies from one of the cousins, and it was nice, even though I was sick and kind of goofy.
In Bergen, I enjoyed our hike up the mountain. That's something that I had wanted to do. I enjoyed that.
Ending the trip visiting the Sally Islands was, again, an emotional sort of roller coaster for me. It was sort of closing the door on visiting all of my great-grandparents' homesteads. Both of my great-grandparents from my grandmother's side come from that area. And so to be on the third of 3 areas that my great-grandparents came from was sort of this moment of, okay, I'm complete.
Well, we had the suggestion to travel from Bergen back to Oslo by using trains and buses and waterways.
One of the things that I thought was cool was I got to drink water directly out of a waterfall. They put a cup out there, gathered the water, and I got to drink a glass of the water. I thought that was pretty neat.
I think this trip back to Norway was absolutely amazing. It was really fun to be there for a second time in 2 years and to experience it outside the bubble that was the reality show.
I would have loved to have spent more time talking to and with family and just getting to know them a little bit better than we did in the short period of time that we were with them. So family is the biggest thing that I will miss from Norway.
I really felt that all of them were really welcoming, really very nice, and were generally open to meeting, strangers from America.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time in Norway. It was a spectacular country. It's very beautiful. People were nice. I'm very happy that we went.
Norway was amazing. It was amazing to see it. It's something I never would have expected to do in my lifetime. Meeting family, seeing people in person that I have been talking on Facebook.
There were a number of things that I enjoyed about the trip. The Folk Museum in Oslo, the 17th of May parade. The people were so patriotic. Vigeland Park, meeting the relatives, the fjords. I enjoyed a lot.
I think this time, as opposed to last time, I really felt how hard our ancestors worked to make us who we are today. Because here in the United States, we really don't have that. So when we go back, it's really like you can really feel all the ancestors back there.
If I could describe Norway in one word, it would be gorgeous.
Lovely.
Amazing.
I'd like to have the people that we met over there actually come over and visit us, and we could show them as good a time as they showed us.
Anything else you want to say?
I love Norway.